Well, hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast. I'm Ross Aiken, I'm your host, and we're here to talk Will Payton Starman. And we're going to be covering Starman Volume 1, Issue 8, and Action Comics Weekly 622. You're going to go, why aren't we doing 9? Because we're not doing 9 because I have a guest for 9 and 10, which is a Batman team-up. And I will announce that guest later. But someone's going to come on and talk their love of Will Payton Starman, and he wanted to kind of do the blockbuster issues, and I thought that was a good idea. So we're going to cover Action Comic Weekly 622 for about 42 issues. Action Comics was a weekly in a newsprint. It was very cool. I loved the hell out of it. I thought there were great comics in it. But then it changed format a little bit. I would love for them all. I would love to get a set of them because they're neat. I'm old enough, to read comics in the newspaper or religiously. I grew up in Washington, D.C. when we still had two newspapers, the Washington Post and the Washington Star, so you got different comic strips in each thing. My brother Hugh is a huge comic strip fan, so it was a neat format. But early on, before Will Payton's book was up and going, maybe we'll find out when I get to the Grand Comic Database, because I did not do that bit of homework yet. But there was a preview or a teaser, and it's just a short little 8-page story with his sister and him in action. And it also ties into, we get to meet the host of Phoenix Today, which plays a big part in issue 8. So let's get started. Let us do Action Comics Weekly 622 first. It was released on September 1st, 1988. It featured 6 stories: a Green Lantern, a Starman, a Wild Dog, a Superman, a Secret Six, and a Blackhawk. So this book was an anthology, and everything is like 8 pages long. Green Lantern is by Christopher Priest when he was still going by James C. Osway, and Mark D. Bright. Love that. Wild Dog, Max Allan Collins and Terry Beatty. Cannot recommend anything by Max Allan Collins more and more. He's a great. I read a lot of his novels. I loved Mystery. I loved his Batman. Starman, which we'll talk about. It also had a Superman by Roger Stern, Kurt Swan, Murphy Anderson, which is absolutely gorgeous. The Secret Six is by Martin Pascoe, Frank Springer, and Frank McLaughlin. And the Blackhawk is Martin Pascoe, Rick Burkett. So, for the Starman story, it is called We Don't Need the Superhero. It's written by Roger Stern, pencils by Tom Lyle, inks by Robert Campanella, colors by Daniel Vazzo, letterers Augustin Maz, editor Robert Greenberger. Features Will Payton, Jayne Payton, an unknown villain in a Star Lab armor suit, Vincent Garvey, and Don. Starman defeats someone in a Star Lab armor suit. That is the entire synopsis for this 8-page story on the Grand Comic Book Database. I really am starting to really lean into the Grand Comic Book Database. I really like it. It's got stuff that I use a bunch because I want to get as much information as possible. So, Action Comics 622. It starts out with Jayne and Will at the mall in the days of mall. I think Tom Lyle's work is getting better and better. I don't know if it's Campanella's inks on this that makes it a little tighter, but it starts. She's watching a TV in the TV store, and she is watching Phoenix Today, and it starts with the host kind of giving us a synopsis of their guest. It starts as 45 minutes after the hour, and we're talking with Vincent Garvey, author of a new book with a rather provocative title of We Don't Need the Superhero. It's more than just a title, Don. My book, it's a plea for sanity, for the rejection of the myth of the uncommon heroism. I hate the term using superhero. But the publisher insisted had name recognition value, pseudo-heroes. I call them. They're a perverse anachronism in the world today. And Jayne doesn't like it. and she admits it to. She's talking to Will, who's eating an ice cream cone. A big TV, $995. God, man, they were expensive back then. But she's talking about it. He listens. He goes, "Wow, who died and made him Freud?" It's pretty good. But then Will hears an announcement that there's something happening, so he grabs his stuff. He flies off. And what I liked about this, art-wise, is when we get to the part to where Mr. Garvey's being interviewed, we'll see his comment, and then we'll see what's happening with Will. And, Don, the host, is like, but what about Justice Society? And he's just, this guy's knocking it down. It's kind of, I mean, this is the 80s, and talk TV was different. But, there's a lot of this, I'm an expert talking head crap, which I hate. I really do hate it. These pseudo experts on stuff that, and just are on TV to push an agenda and not really contribute anything to society. But all the time he's complaining, and we're seeing Will beat this guy. And then we get to a page where they're still talking, and Jayne is driving the Jeep trying to get to where Will's fighting, and she sees an old man collapse on the sidewalk, and she jumps out, starts to give him CPR, and there's a paramedic shows up, and it tells her she's doing a good job. And then we cut back and the whole time this guy's talking, he's gibbering his jibber jabber. We see Starman. He's beaten the bad guy in the armor, and he notices the ambulance. His sister is talking to the fireman, and they seem to be getting along kind of close. And she says that she's a hero. And then it ends with the expert going, "Superheroes have been called the epitome of humanity as its finest, and I find that simply preposterous. We must strip away the infantile perceptions of courage and justice and recognize superheroes are superheroes for the debased creatures they are. If we ever want to wish to function as thinking adults." And then the guy ends it. But I think the point is that you're going to see people, I think they're trying to say is some people would perceive in a world if they had superheroes as not a good thing. And I get that. That would be, they're vigilantes. What are they doing? What right do you have? Law and order should be done by law and order, people. But that's true here is the people, the everyday person who stops to save their fellow man. And I liked it. It was a great little, I had never read it. Someone had pointed it out to me. That it existed, and I had saved it on my DC Universe app for a time like this where I had like a 2-part or a 3-part story, and I just kind of fill a hole. But since there was just this one last issue before the Batman blockbuster thing, so I did it. I enjoyed it. It was fun. So let's move on to Starman 8. I'm opening it up in my app. I've been too lazy to actually dig my Starman loose ones out. I may do it tonight. It just works crazy. I'm actually getting more done this month than I thought because I'm taking Tuesdays off, and it's helping. But let's start with Starman 8. It's got a great cover, Tom Lyle, and it's got Lady Quark from Crisis on Infinite Earths putting the moves on Will. Let's see what that's all about. So, this book was cover dated March 1989. It was released on February 2nd, 1989. Editor Robert Greenberger, who gets a little shout out in this. The cover is by Tom Lyle. As I said, it's a great cover. It's got some of those 80s early, there was some changing in the coloring process in this era, and where yellows are very vibrant. And I'm not a big fan of that era, and I think they've made a course correction. The story is called The Queen and the Commoners, which is a good title for this. It's by Roger Stern, Woohoo, Tom Lyle, Bob Smith on inks, Michelle Wolfman colors, Bob Pinaha letterer. It stars Will Payton and Lady Quark. She's not really a bad guy. This has not ever been reprinted. This is what I'm getting with. I do not understand why this era of Starman, this series, is not ever been reprinted. It's no one problematic, I think. There's no one on this that's problematic. Some creators have, there's one that whose comics I enjoyed a great deal, but he's in prison for being a dirty bastard. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even want to say what he did because then you'll figure out who he is. I don't want to give him any publicity. But I just don't want to get it. And maybe we'll get a compendium. A compendium of this would be good. You know? I mean, they're doing Kyle. I've just put my pre-order in for the Kyle Rayner compendium from DC, and they're going to do some other stuff, and I'm enjoying those. I'm reading Milestone. I'm on Milestone Volume 1 and compendium. Check them out. But let's get onto this. It's called The Queen and the Commoner. The synopsis, I love this in the Grand Comic Database, is Lady Quark investigates Starman as her Prince Consort. She's looking for a boy. She's looking for a partner. She's lost her family. But it starts with Starman. He's flying through the city. He lands at Greenberger's Books, and he goes in. And he's freaked out because there's a cardboard cutout of him, and they're selling books about the invasion. And he's, you know, he comes in and he asks us, yeah, sure, I'm looking for a copy of The Atom's Farewell. I think it came out last year. For more about the Atom's new book, see The Power of the Atom number 10. Okay, I will go look that up. I can't remember what. There was a good Atom series out at this era. I kind of liked it. This is an era of comics that I really, really like at DC. And she goes, no, sorry, we're sold out. Last copy months ago. I can try to order one for you, but you might want to wait. It's going to be re-released soon by Warner Books and paperback with some added material about the Atom's role in the invasion. Invasion, yeah, that's it. Some display. They're out so soon. It only happened the other week. Oh, this is one of those instant books publishers throw together. Better written for the most part, especially from the Daily Planet news articles. So he thinks it's cool, and what we don't notice somewhere in Los Angeles, wearing some very 80s outfit over her costume, is Lady Quark, and she is reading some of the invasion books. And she sees an entry about Starman. I don't know this hero. And she sees that he's only been here for a while, so she's thinking about, you know, he's very handsome. Oh, and, you know, she could use a companion. And she's walking around the corner and just happens to be Pariah. He has spent days searching for her, and she just tells him to stay away. Man, this is a guy that in some ways brought on the crisis. She wants nothing to do with him, and she drops the invasion book right at his feet. We cut back to Will, and he's having lunch with Carol, and it's going pretty well. We see a sign for Dan, the host of Phoenix Today, billboard. See the tie-in? While Quark's flying through, and she lands at the studio and harasses a guard, and because Dan doesn't have a topic, that would never happen in a talk show. You would not go to be in front of a camera with nothing. He interviews her, and she says, I'm looking for make contact with Starman. And, you know, we cut to the house, and there's some, you know, Will changing his face to look like Tom Selleck to freak out his sister, and his mom, try to keep a secret identity from his mom. He becomes a person of color, and she laughs at him. This is not, you know, and he's like, maybe I should go try to a black bar. Really, really dumb. This really just, oh my God, it does not work. And then Will goes for a walk, and he's walking, and then he sees the flashing light caused by Lady Quark. He flies off, and she tells him a story. You know, how she lost her husband and daughter during the crisis, and he's sorry for her. You know, they hear someone yell for help. They go and rescue this guy, and she's, you know, she's just saying she's lonely. I mean, it's really lonely, but she wants to unify the Earth under her and his command. And he's like, nah, that ain't happening. You know, and he flies away. He stops some bad guys. She shows up with a witness to the crime, and they help out, and they just keep having this conversation. It's just about this interaction. Him being a hero, he's seeing that this is what we do. Basically, that we do things differently in this world, and that, you know, that kind of upsets her. She flies off. He's tried to tell her, and on the last page, he's like, it's just that. I know from experience how easily an average Joe can screw up other people's lives. Those of us who aren't average have to be more careful. And she's thinking, so careful to temper his strength from an older man. His words would have. Okay, she's saying from an older man, his words would have the ring of wisdom, but from one of so young, Is it wisdom or cowardice? He's so young. What makes him feel? But there must be a weakness. And then he's asking. She's just been thinking. He goes, now what's wrong? Everything. I was wrong about you. Completely wrong. I see that now. If I'm to make this world mine, I must do so without you. And she's thinking he would have made him Prince Consort in the Golden Age, but no, I must look otherwhere. So I don't know. Does that come back? I don't know. I've read this. So that's a good thing about never reading it. I liked it. It was a neat little issue. It's definitely setting something up. I mean, the book lands at the feet of Pariah. Her and Pariah, newish characters, only about 2 years old. Put them in the new book. I liked it. I like where this is going. I'm really looking forward to the Batman and the new blockbuster because I know that blockbuster from later, like when he was in Nightwing as a big villain in Blundhaven. So we're going to see the origin of that blockbuster, and I'm excited. And I'm excited to have this guest on the show next week. But this one was a fun one. The art's really getting better and better with each issue, and I do like Tom Lyle. And the stories are good, and I'm really starting to dig the characters. It's going to be nice with not having to do a Prince Gavin every other week, so it's just going to be Ted, Jack, and Will for a while. And I'm kind of liking that. I'll be reading these faster, and I don't want to read ahead and go back. I don't want to read them over and over. I kind of want it to be fresh in my head. But this one was fun. It was a lot going on. It's a Roger Stern comic. There is an era. He is like Claremont and Byrne and Thomas and others that I like, where other people might say he overwrites, but I enjoy the hell out of it. So I'm enjoying this book a great deal. All right, folks, I got to get ready because I'm recording Times Past and I'm talking with David today also, and I'm excited about that, and I got to get ready. You all be good. Please be safe, be smart, be kind to one another, and read some comic books.